Hello, and welcome to the Explain It podcast. I'm your host, Ingryd Hernandez. This week, we have an amazing guest who has actually, I think, may even been doing SubTo before some of the people that you know doing SubTo, like Pace, for example. He's known as Uncle Charles out in Texas in the San Antonio area. Is having a huge event coming up in October. We're going to talk a little bit about that and really how he got started. So I'm excited for all of you joining. Please, let us know what you're looking for in the comments. If you're wholesaling, if you're bird dogging, if you're flipping, however we can serve and you guys can collaborate in the best way. So come on down, ask your questions in the comments, let us know where you're joining us from, and be prepared to come and do all the things. So with that, hey, Uncle Charles, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. We're both Hernandezes. We're
Yes,
not
we are.
we're not family as I understand it, but maybe I say Mexicanos crossed a lot of lines, so who knows? Maybe somewhere down there. I married into the Hernandez though, so
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I feel really fortunate. I know you're part of an amazing organization. Uh, I would, I would, I would say the primary main organization in the entire United States when it comes to real estate. So,
yeah, I no doubt. So tell us, Uncle Charles, I actually have known you for a little while. I went to an event with Faustino or Tino. He's also a Hernandez. I'm telling you,
yes,
they're everywhere. Hernandez is everywhere.
yeah,
And I'm I saw you and a couple of your family members that you were doing business with at the time, and
mhm,
so it was really cool to know that I was just getting started in all the SubTo stuff and just to see how prevalent it actually is. Like people shouldn't think that it's like some shady stuff happening under curtains or whatever. And it's just another way of acquiring properties. And obviously, you're also focusing a lot on wholesaling. So I've known you for a few years now, following you on Instagram and whatnot. Tell us, how did you get started in real estate, and specifically kind of now in the direction you're in the wholesaling side of things?
well, it's a long story, and I don't, it's too long to go into, but I like a lot of us, especially young males, we grow up very, very hard. A lot of Latinos, and I was no different. I was a product of my environment, and I ended up getting caught up, And
Mm,
well, I wasn't a dumb kid, so I was pretty smart, and I was somewhere where I regret, but I became a paralegal, and I started helping people, with different stuff that they needed, reading their mail and helping them, and I started seeing all these motions coming in, or rather affidavit of heirship and stuff. So I'm in there, and uh, and I started learning about real estate. So I pursued my education. I got
mhm.
out and I got a bachelor's degree from the University of Texas in business, and I got into mortgages. I created a really nice mortgage company. We're doing a lot of loans, and in 2008 that fell apart because of the crash. Then I went into the private sector, just facilitating private money, creative deals. Then I started HPHS, which I still run. And then I had a partner, and we created this amazing company here in Texas that we got really big following, and we were doing all different type of real estate when it comes to realty, traditional to flipping to subject twos, credit financing, just everything you can think of. We had a pretty big operation going, and we did wholesaling live twice, which is the event we're here to talk about. And
Mhm.
then and then it went away because my partner and I split.
Yeah, yeah. I've been there, done that. Actually, I literally was educating in front of all these new to real estate folks, and letting them know one of the things that Pace has taught me is all partnerships end. Doesn't matter if
Yeah,
it's business partnerships, if it's marriage, they all end. Somebody dies first, for example, if you take it all the way to the grave. So most don't end on a notebook ending. If you guys ever watched the Notebook, where they're laying, very beautiful movie, but um so if you understand that that's just the human dynamics that we all go through, you can feel a little bit like this only happened to you. It actually happens to the best of us, including Pace, right? Like, and so I felt better after he told me that, because it's like it's human nature. We all have different values and different goals, and that's just how it happens. But one of the things that was super exciting about wholesaling live that I thought was super cool is that you guys actually do the thing there. It's not just another conference. It's
Yep.
like, let's get to work. And that's one of the things that I've been doing with Pace since October of last year. Like when we have these challenges, we're actually doing the thing. Like enough information, like let's get to work. So that's what's super exciting about what you're doing down in San Antonio.
I appreciate that. When I got into the business, like I shared with you, I had a lot of success. I've had some failures, failures, and stuff. And I've always wanted people to understand the most important thing is to have resolve. Just because you fail at something today doesn't mean tomorrow you can get back up and be better at it. And the thing with wholesaling live is people don't really know this, but we practiced wholesaling live for like 3 years. We opened up a RIA in San Antonio, and almost overnight it became the largest RIA. And we actually did wholesaling live 2 times in full effect at the RIA, and it was very successful. We wanted to know, could we actually give people the experience, like
Mm-hmm.
a real experience of what it means to work in a shop like everyone has, and so we did wholesale live, and we wanted people to come in, not only have an experience, but the event be about them, and about the sponsors and about the speakers, and how could everybody get involved, and feel like they walked away with something that was of substance. And I feel really proud of it, and we're doing it again. So, and this time
That's so
you're
cool.
this time you're coming. You're invited.
Yeah, I'm excited that I get to come. I actually was heartbroken I didn't get to go to the last one, but I want to say that the last time you guys did it, I actually still had a W-2. So
Hmm.
I couldn't just like part ways. I've been jobless for a good year and a half now, proudly jobless,
Yeah.
and been 100% real estate investor and all the ups and downs that comes with. So that's why I'm excited. I really respect people who are really focus on helping folks really launch into their business, and um, reminding them that people can't take your birthday. Just get on the phone and call and see what it's like. So walk me through maybe some of the experience of the event. And by the way, can I share my discount code? Is that possible?
Yes, by all means, I would love
Okay.
for you to do it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, if you guys decide to come, which all of you should, come support the SubTo. I would love for this to be a SubTo reunion over in San Antonio. But use the code SUB250, so Sub250, to get 50% off on the wholesaling live ticket if you're joining us October 17th and 18th. And what's really cool, and what you mentioned, but we're going to change this, right, Uncle Charles? Can I ask you to change this?
What is it?
The fact that I will be the only lady on your platform
Hmm.
is something I'm very honored with, no doubt. But I know so many amazing ladies who are in wholesaling. You got
Yeah.
Antoinette. We got out here. I know mostly Arizona ladies, right? Because that's where I'm from. But I know Angie from Colorado, Carolina from Oregon. Of course, they're all in my SubTo mentorship. But we have a lot of ladies who would love to represent. And I usually tell people who want to get into this wholesaling space, it's not an or, right? It's an and. And here's what I mean by that. I do not like when people pin us against each other to say, "Oh, dudes are better closers than women, or women are better closers than dudes." Like, it's not about that. A better team is one that has both. And why? Because I was just telling the group this morning, there was 3 dudes that tried closing a SubTo deal in Gilbert. It was a 5,000 square foot home, beautiful house, and they couldn't do it. Put this lady on the phone, and I was able to close it. And I really think it's because the gal who I was speaking to saw more of me in that conversation than the 2 young fellows who were on the phone. And
Mhm.
so when you have more voices on your team, you can continue to try with these motivated sellers until that seller hears their voice or reflection on the other side of that conversation. So the more diverse your team is, the more abilities you'll have to close some deals. What's your perspective on that?
I, you know, we used to run a pretty big team. So at any given time, from like 2016 to 2023, we had in office 30, 40 people.
Wow.
And we always had a lot of about a core females that worked with us.
I
And
love it.
the thing about working on a team is everybody has to buy in,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't have. I mean, I hate to call people weak links. I don't want to call anybody a weak link. What I mean to say is that I always wanted to get people who I didn't have to make sure that we're going to get up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or who's willing to go the extra mile. Like, hey, you know what? This call has to get done today, or you got some studying to do. What I try to steer away from or folks who want to be in the club, that their mind is somewhere else. And so when it came to the also with the females, uh, I've always prided myself on having really good guys that respected the females and really good females that were there about the business. And because it's not just business, it's people. Like interactions with them. How they. You have to understand. Some people are introverts, extroverts. Some people are, out of
Mm-hmm.
their mind. Some people are not. Some people are focused. Some are not. And I always wanted to have a good blend of people that worked around each other, because it can get toxic. And
Mm.
so, and that's one thing that HPHS was really, really good, until we split. Of course, we went different directions. I don't run a big team anymore. I don't run a big team because I focus on some other stuff that I'm focusing on.
Yeah.
Um, Part of it's Wholesaling Live and another project that I'm working on. So I don't really run a big operation like that anymore. My ex partner he runs an operation like that, and I don't know. I think it's great to have both women and men. They bring two different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a man feels just can't get the deal done, and it's always fun to see when somebody else steps up, especially when it's a female, because people tend to think that this business is primarily dominated by men. It really isn't. It's just that the men get more of the noise, because we're probably more on social media talking about this, talking about that. I think
Yeah.
that's probably what it is.
I think that's a fair feedback because one of the things that I actually tell folks and educate them when they're here is that our transactions as investors feeds so many families. Okay, so the closers, I'll call them the closers, the men get a lot of they get a lot of the hoopla, the marketing, right? But you have transaction coordinators who are predominantly women. You have escrow officers who are predominantly women, right?
Mhm.
Loan officers, I see a strong mix of both. So because the makeup of our real estate transactions is actually just beyond who got that contract, you actually see a lot of diversity in those transactions. So I would agree with you, Uncle Charles, that there's a lot of diversity. We just don't talk about it or celebrate it in a way where it's more predominant or like more like noticeable. Um, yeah,
I
I also run a lean team. My wholesaling team, we have it's me, Tammy, and Carla,
yeah,
and then my boy Felipe, and then I have an integrator, Bobby, who is our smart tech guy. Very, very lean team. And I'm in Arizona where you have to have somebody on your team who speaks Spanish. I speak Spanish, but so does Felipe and Carla. And so that's been very, very beneficial too. If you're in California, for example, you would want uh, somebody who may speak other languages like, Chinese or Japanese, depending on what areas you're in. You even have a very cool speaker coming. I don't know what his background is though.
he's his name is Kong.
Kong, yes.
So I think he's Vietnamese, but I could be wrong, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's awesome. I remember when I used to office out with Steve Trang, because I'm in his downline over at Real Broker,
Hmm.
and he had him on his podcast, and he's just a really, really cool guy, really funny. I love how
Yeah.
he can make fun of himself, and he's got a lot to teach. He's got a lot
Yeah.
to preach on, so I love it.
He's a very humble guy. I really like him a lot. And all the guys that are coming to Wholesale Live, everybody I've ever brought has always been really good people. I just been fortunate, that I made good relationships with people, and it's I it never ceases to amaze me how we can bring together a lot of good people, and they all come together from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, and they all work together to create such a, not only their own spheres of influence, but the event. And I'll say something that I always say. You know, growing up, a lot of folks sometimes think that the system's rigged against them. I hear that a lot,
Hmm.
and it's easy to think that. It's easy to think that if that's all you want to see. But what I always tell people, whether it's this business that we're in, you and I, or other businesses, I say it's about real estate. Real estate is the greatest equalizer ever. That I love the business, and the reason I say it's the greatest equalizer because it doesn't care your age, your sex,
Hmm.
your race, your status, your education level. It doesn't care. I've seen guys that look like, wow, this guy looks like he just got out. And we all know what I mean by that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sitting down with an attorney talking about a deal that they're doing together. And what people I think sometimes they're so afraid of is they gotta dress the part. They think they gotta get business cards and a website and an office and a nice suit, brother. You know what? Just show up and do the business and bring a good deal. Learn how to do that. And if you do that, there's many folks that are gonna want to help along the way.
1,000%. And for as big as this industry is, we're also really tight, you know. So
Yeah.
working with integrity, that matters, doing the business the right way, because things will catch up with you. But that's one thing. I'm so in agreement with you, Uncle Charles, because one of the things I say is like, if you work the business, you will get paid. Like, that's it. Like, this
Mhm.
business will pay you. And it's so funny how people get really lucky when they don't stop. One of my favorite quotes from Alex Hermosi is, you can't lose if you don't quit, period.
Years ago, I had this guy that he had been in the business, I don't know, maybe a year. He had learned a lot. He was really, really good, but he wasn't consistent because, sometimes people can't be consistent because they have other duties or complicated life and stuff. He wanted to quit. And I pulled him to the side. I said, wow, you want to quit. So it's been almost a year and you know so much. Yet the guy is barely coming on board. The guy you were, 12 months ago or so. All the questions you had the answers to, but now you won't see it through. Now you won't see it through because it got hard. It's getting hard. I got news for you. It's gonna get harder. I got
Mhm.
news for you. You're gonna rise and you're gonna fall. And if you're not willing to take those things as experiences, guess what? Whether it's this business or another business, it's gonna happen. And the only thing you're gonna accomplish right now is you're gonna go back to get a 9 to 5 job that's gonna pay you. At the time, it was not that much that people were making. I think he was making like $12 an hour, which wasn't that much. This is early in the days. And I said, "Oh, you can see this through. Get serious. Get serious about that." And he stayed. And today, I won't say his name, but today he's here in San Antonio, and he does very well. He lives a good life. He's making money, but he was so close to quitting. And it just takes somebody to be like, why quit when you've already gone over the hill? Like you already see the promised land.
Mhm. I can't agree with you more on that too. I almost quit. I almost quit, and it was because, the same thing, like your mindset, having a partnership fall apart, like not being able to see past the problem. And I think that that's why it's so important to have really great community around you. No doubt. And people like Andrew Arriaga, I see him in the comments. Like, he's such a good friend of mine. And I think he's a friend of yours now, too. He's great. I know he'll be at Wholesaling Live in October. Um, he is somebody who kind of like picked me up and told me to dust myself off, and like, hey, he had that same conversation, that same talk, that pep talk you just had, Uncle Charles. Like,
Yeah.
Ingrid, you know how to structure deals like with the best of them. You know how to make things work. Why would you quit now, right? And that's where your mindset makes it makes all the difference, and is an important component to doing this business. Because, like, to your point, Uncle Charles, doesn't matter what you go and do, you will have the lulls. Like, you will have those you're gonna have the peaks and the valleys, and that's a valley. And if you're gonna be in a
Yeah.
valley, you need to be surrounded by people who are going to cheerlead you on to continue and go. And so I was very, very fortunate to have been surrounded by amazing people at the
Yep.
time, and really they helped me kind of, dust myself off and keep going.
And
So
I I don't have a choice, because I mean I got educated, of course, and I have that to fall back on. But where does it really go? Um, it's good. I think it's good to get educated, get your degree, and that was a very, very proud moment of my life.
mhm.
But I understood something that I have nowhere else to go. So I have to make it. I gotta do this. And the problem sometimes that I see with folks is that they have option B, option C, and option D. And I get it. Option B may be better than option A because option A is this hard thing that we understand what it is.
Mhm.
But what I tell them is this. I'll tell them what I told my ex partner when we first started, because he was full time in the army. He was making a good check. He was stationed here. He was making about 7,000 a month. And I said to him, I said, look, you're never going to understand how to do this business. You're
Mhm.
never going to dig deep as long as you got that money. Now I know you can't turn it off. And I know you can't go cold turkey, but I ask you to do this.
Mhm.
Over the next 3 months, set yourself up to where by the third month, that money is just being put in the bank and you're not touching it. And
Mhm.
then you will understand what I understand. And then you will understand what it is to hustle or grind, or only then will you completely understand that sometimes you got to be up at 12 o'clock in the morning studying something. That sometimes you're going to go a day or two without sleeping. That you can't watch Netflix every day. That you can't be in the clubs every day. And guess what? And he did. I was so proud of him. And I've had other people like that. I think that people just don't understand. Like, if you're not willing to do the things that other people won't do, you're never going to get it. I mean,
Mhm.
and I know that you're around some fabulous individuals that just take things to even an infinite level. Take Paige, for example. When we started to see him come on the scene, you know, he went on this tour, and I was like, wow. I was in awe of it. I was like, how do you get up one day just be like, I'm gonna do a tour because I
You know
got a
he's
message.
doing another one, right?
I know he is. It's just, are you willing to do, like, how does that guy get success? Why? Like when I did Wholesaling Live, he's never getting off the ground. And I just tell people, man, if you're not willing to take a shot, you're just never gonna know.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And man, he works off of a completely different energy battery, because
Yeah.
that guy wakes up at 3, 4 a.m. every day. I've been trying really hard to start waking up at 5. And I'm like, I'll make it 6. It's so difficult to kind of make that work. And so I can't believe how he how he just operates. It's a completely different level. But what I really love about people knowing that about him is that then everybody starts to rise up to that level of expectations too, right? Like it only does us better in the industry to see what does it take to get us to that next level. Like what does it take to build the communities of integrity?
Yeah.
What does it take, and what level of success can really be brought to this industry if you disrupt it? So I just thought that's the way I think when I think about
And
Pace.
now, for everybody listening, if you didn't know, and now you know why he has the type of success that he does,
Mm-hmm.
because he's willing to do the things that others won't do. And
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
and now I'm jealous. I gotta get up at 3. I get up at like 4:55. I'm busy by 5:30, but 3 o'clock. That's a whole. Now I know why I don't got the huge community like you.
I know. Just go to bed earlier and get up even earlier. Yeah, it's crazy. I have started waking up earlier, and I realized how much time I was leaving on the table by
Yeah.
not getting up earlier. And that really is a secret gem there. If you guys really want, especially for those of you who have a W-2, if you can get up earlier, dedicate 2 hours or so before you have to really get going to work, and then do your 5 to 9, right, when you're home. Like that is really how you're going to start replacing that W-2
Yeah.
Michael Reyes. Although I will say having a W-2, in my opinion, is also a superpower. When I had my W-2 and I got started in this business back in, so I joined my mentorship in January of 2021. I didn't do my first deal. Like I didn't get a deal under contract until 9 months later. Don't cry for me. I made 54 grand on that deal, so it was all good. But uh, it took me starting to commit that like after work time and having a brain switch to say, okay, no excuses. I have to commit. And on the fourth day of being on the phones, I got my first contract. Right. And I really do think that people need to flip that switch with themselves to say, I'm committing, no excuses. Mom's closing the door. Dad can cook dinner. I'll be right out, and really having a game plan for when you don't have your W-2. But because I've had my W-2, there was a few properties that I ended up keeping, and that made me bankable. So I think if people change their perspective about how much time you actually have in a day and how it can be your secret way of keeping properties, if you can't do SubTo, then I think it can help create some of that foundation so that you can eventually quit your W-2.
I think that is so awesome, and you had I that's a really awesome story, because most people they start, sometimes they're not around someone who had success, so or they're around someone who's like I won't say his name, but I know this one guy. He gets a lot of flack. When he started out with someone who just didn't do things right, so that's what he learned.
Mm.
So he got a bad rap, and then when he started getting around the people who were like, "Hey, you can't do that," so of course he adapted. But it's like anything else. Once you learn the bad things, the temptation is always there. So I'm always on him. I said earlier to you that my first part of my life was very chaotic and just very disruption. And I had these conversations with folks as they come into the business, and especially when I see them, they're about to do something that maybe they shouldn't do. I'm always sending messages to people. Like, even if I don't know them, I have a really good relationship with a lot of people. I'll say, "Hey, man, I see you doing this." I'll just send them a message just out of the blue. And what I tell them is, "Man, there's only one thing that you have that's so important that if you lose it, it's over, man. It's over." For me, I have no choice. Like, I have lost money so that my integrity is not questioned. In the world of real estate, there's no one in this world of real estate. Maybe when I was young, people can talk shit about me because I was chaotic. But in the world of real estate, there's no one that can say that I took a penny, that I cheated them out of a penny. I will go out of my way to make sure that is the most important thing I protect. And then, of course, all the other stuff that trickles down, the loyalty, the character, all that stuff. but that's the first and the second thing is to be relentless. Just have resolve, man. Just see it
Mm-hmm.
through.
Mm-hmm.
One day tomorrow, you know more, a little bit more. 6 months from now, you know a little bit more. A year from now, look, is how long you said you knew who I was, and here we are on a podcast. You know how I got to know you.
How?
So I'm like, I'm gonna get pace. We're new wholesaling live. I brought Sean Terry the first year and great guys. The second year I brought Carlos Reyes and Bradley, and I'm like, I gotta get pace. And everybody I swear that I talked to said, you can't get pace, man. You can't get pace. I'm gonna try, and I don't know how I did it. Oh, I had his number. I texted him. I did. I swear I tested. I said, pace. I'm doing wholesaling live. I don't know if you know what it is because I don't know if he knows. And I sent him a video, and he sent me. He was contact this lady, right? And I was thinking, do I have the right number? So I was wondering, like, oh shit, because they were like, you got to do this, this, and this, and I was like, I was trying to verify, and I was like, you know what, man, let's go. I'm gonna roll the dice. And so I got pace, and then I was talking to people, and I said, how do I bring SubTo people to wholesaling live? Because I want him to come out to an audience of SubTo people, right? And so I started to talk to some folks. They put me in contact with another person. Before I knew it, I met Andrew. And then me and Andrew started talking. And then he started introducing me to people. And he said, bro, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you about this lady named Ingryd. And it just went from there, And so I was like, I don't have any females on the wholesaling live stage, and then I was told that you were very, very close to Pace, very high up with Pace. And guys, don't knock off to any of you ladies that are watching. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do something right now just because Ingryd said so. Okay. Any female, Ingryd, that wants to come to wholesaling live, that's a friend of yours, that's a banger, a killer, a closer, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna send you a special code. A special code. It's gonna be even better than the code that I gave you, and you can present that to them personally. And I'm doing that as a respect to the ladies.
I love that.
I'm gonna do a special. It's gonna be a special code. Trust me, it's gonna be special. Especially that I hear you guys are coming from different states.
Yeah.
That I need to make sure that it's special. So I'm going to give you that code today, Ingryd. You can share that with them, and hopefully we can get some of these closers to wholesaling live, because it doesn't matter whether you're on stage or not. You show up, the networking, the camaraderie. I can't pronounce that word. Camaraderie. Yeah.
That's but okay.
The live action. I can do that in Spanish, but in English, the live action itself, I'm going to tell you, in 2023, we had a young lady out of New Jersey. She was this close to winning the title. She was the only female on stage, all guys. She was this close. And time ran out on her, but she got a couple. She got the second amount of contracts. There was one guy that got the most contracts, and then she beat all the other guys. If it wasn't for that one guy, she would have won the championship belt.
That's awesome. Well, so walk with us a little bit through the process of what this event looks like. So you're actually having to compete with other people during the event?
Yeah. You want me to show you the belt?
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Let's do it. So awesome. And that just gives you, like, I love how Uncle Charles, like, let's get more ladies there. Because actually I told a big old joke today. Because do you know how people say you have big balls to do something? I was like, man, I had the biggest ovaries to lock up a deal and do a virtual flip without ever looking at the property.
So the first year, RJ Bates won the championship. They went head to head on stage.
I love
and
RJ.
Then the second year, Brent Franklin competed against RJ Bates and won. But this girl named Saud, she got a pretty good following online. She got this close. She was just seconds away from winning.
Mm.
And so this belt right here was the 2023 belt, and I've been meaning to meet with Brent Franklin, but he's been traveling the world for a few years with his oil stuff, and this was the belt. So he won the belt, and so we're gonna have the 2023 belt. I mean, the 2025 belt, and somebody's gonna win, but this time it's gonna be a little bit different because everybody's gonna be competing.
Ah.
So maybe one of these ladies that comes up there wants to just go head to head with everybody and win the championship. So
Yeah, let's go. I love it. Yeah, I remember one of the gals, her name is Jen out of California in SubTo. She made it to like I think it was called the Closers Olympics or something like that. She was
mhm.
like a top person there too. So I'll make sure I also invite her and make sure she see if she can make it down to San Antonio October 17th and 18th. So guys, honestly, if you've ever been to a conference, you understand that the biggest takeaway is the networking. Okay. So going to any meetup, anything. But when you're actually locking up deals, that's beyond the beyond. So this isn't going to this you literally could make your money back. You could or and even more. So make sure that you guys are considering coming to wholesaling live October 17th and 18th. You're going to and what kind of leads are folks going to get, cuz I think that that's what
So
makes you super unique.
yeah, let me give you a let me answer that question. Let me give you a cliff note.
Okay.
So the elite tickets, the top tickets, right?
Mhm.
Those tickets, the people get the hottest, the PPC leads, PPL, PPC, that's the hottest leads that come in, and it's all live. The only companies that are coming to wholesaling live are the ones who agree to do it live. So I've invited many companies, but I like if you can't do it live, then I want everything live, right? So I'll just say that. Then the second tier, which is the VIP, they get SMS and VA leads, and the third tier they get freshly skipped data.
Mhm.
And so the first 2 years we did, I think we pushed out like 400,000 freshly skipped data. So people walked away with a lot of leads from Wholesaling Live. But this year, I think it's going to be even different because my understanding is, for example, iSpeed, which is the primary the diamond sponsor, they're talking about thousands of leads, not just the front row. We have Newly, they're talking about hundreds of leads. We have another PPC company uh, that's coming out of California. They're going to pump a lot of leads. We have a VA company that's going to pump a lot of leads. Eric Klein's talking about his VA company a lot. So I'm thinking that everybody is not going to be calling this sheet data. I'm assuming, well, from the amount of leads we're talking about, I think everybody's going to get hot leads, not just call data. And so everybody's going to have an opportunity to really, really capture deals. Our goal this year is not just to wholesale live. You see right there, which is $1 million. We're
Mhm.
looking to dispo $1 million in assignments. Now, the first two
Let's
years
go.
we did over 1 million,
Mhm.
but we didn't dispo them. We dispoed after. We want to dispo on the spot. So we have a title company coming to receipt. That right there that you see, Ingrid, let me just give you the 120-second clip note.
Tell me.
In January 2024, I was
Mhm.
approached by some gentleman. Just real quick, let me talk fast. 7 years earlier, I had helped a mother keep her house. She had several children. One of those children grew up, you can click out of that, grew up to become one of the top AI engineers in the nation.
Wow.
And so these guys work on all type of projects from OpenAI to T-Mobile, all kind of stuff. And they had been wanting to build something. And they came to Wholesaling Live, and one of them became a student, and they were making really good money with what I was teaching them. And then my company split, and then one day these guys showed up at my office, which was in disarray, and they were like, "Hey, we want to help you," and I was like, "No, I'll help you." I thought they were talking about real estate. They're like, "No, we wanted to do something," and they explained to me. I didn't know anything about AI then, and they built a ground up LLM strictly for real estate, and they're gonna
Nice.
release it at Wholesaling Live. So this imagine ChatGPT, but being able to pull data on the spot, buyers on the spot, ARVs, comps, and any type of knowledge you want. So REI Labs will be releasing RE at Wholesale Live. It is the it'll be the first true LLM released to the world. And I just happened to be the guy that said okay. And what they were looking for was a pretty large investment and a large book of content. You know, I had a lot of content, 20 years of content, and
Yeah.
and so they're going to be releasing Ari at Wholesale Live, so you'll be able to see a system unlike any other system, and where you'll be able to say, let me give you an example. Let me have a list of subject to properties in Orlando, right there. Let me have a list of fixer uppers in Tampa. Let me have a list of abandoned properties in Dallas. Let me have buyers in San Antonio. It'll give you the phone number and email, and that's what they built, and it's going to be released at Wholesale Live.
Wow. That's really amazing. So for you guys who didn't catch it, in the AI world, and I came from the data space. So
Mhm.
LLM stands for large language model,
Yes, ma'am.
and all your AIs, your artificial intelligence. So when you think Chat GPT, they are frameworked with the knowledge that you give them. So that knowledge, you need a big bank of knowledge. And so what I'm hearing you say is that this is going to be a game changer for anyone who basically doesn't have their systems and processes in place, because this
Let
could
me
really replace all of that.
let me
Wow.
share something with you, which I think you're going to appreciate because you come from that world.
Yeah.
They there's no storage of data when it comes to leads inside of RE. Zero. It goes and gets it live, and it's not using an API, and it's not scraping. I can't say how they're doing it. It's a technology that's already available that all the GPTs can do today, but they won't with their general purpose. Well, these guys built this thing. It has no API, no scraper, no storage of data. It can get anything live across the nation. If it's live, whether it's for sale by owner, whether it's listed, it can get it live. And then by next year, it can already do Texas. It'll get public data, tax delinquents, tax foreclosures, mortgage foreclosures, probates, divorces. Um, right now in Texas, we can get all the tax foreclosures like that.
Nice. Wow. So
Yeah.
this is a really great facilitator. And guys, this is why it's important to get into rooms that you normally aren't in, because you could be stuck in your little bubble and not know, oh, look at this guy. Um, and not know that there's this technology out there that's going to help you be so amazing. Okay, so here's all your speakers: Nick Perry, Logan Fulmer. I remember when Logan was on Steve Chang's podcast, I was like in the comments, I'm like, dirty deeds done dirt cheap, like that song. Because he
Yeah.
used to fix dirty deeds, or deeds that all had problems. Richard Taylor, he's an amazing dude. This is really cool. Oh, Henry, his name needs to be fixed. But this is quite the
Oh,
lineup. Amazing.
you caught that really fast. That's good. Yeah, I gotta fix. I gotta tell them to fix that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I used to be a control and compliance analyst. I catch these things. So this is so awesome. I love it. I love it. And look, aw, cutie patootie, Uncle Charles.
Thank you.
Awesome. So again, one of the things that helps us learn and helps us be better than most is not just sitting there and being another Zoomer listening to info, but it's actually taking action. And so seeing that you're incorporating that as a part of this conference, such an important element, such an important and a very distinct differentiator too. So Are the leads going to be primarily in Texas?
So the the leads will, a lot of them will be in Texas, but these companies, they do nationwide lead
Hmm.
gen. So the leads are going to come from everywhere. We're asking, of course, primarily for Texas, right? But they'll come from everywhere. And the beautiful thing about it is we're gonna have comping tables, right? We're gonna have dispo. Investor base will be dispoing live. We have some pretty good guys that are gonna be dispoing, like Tony Mons, Maximilian Deer will be there dispoing live. We have runners. So further down on the website, you see like 7 or 8 9 guys. You're on the website also. They haven't moved you up to the other side yet because they're configuring how to fix those little boxes, but you're on there. What happens is the beautiful thing that happens in wholesaling live is that everybody is there. They're calling, they get stuck, whether you're a beginner or advanced or whatever. Let's just say you get stuck.
Hmm.
You're going to turn around, raise your hand, and you may see Zach Ginn right there closing a deal. Hey, let me help you. Or maybe Eric Klein walks up to you. He goes, I got you. Or maybe, myself or you. Or, that's the beautiful thing about all these people you see online
Hmm.
talking about, what they do. They may run up and be like, I got you. Give me the phone. Let's go. And so that's what's going to happen there. And
My guy Scott Horn. I love that guy.
yeah, so we have Tony Mott, Maximilian, we have Travis Wells, Quentin, we have Andrews there, Ryan Jackson. There's a lot of Texas boys there that do well across this whole state, but they're there to
Very
help.
cool.
They're not there to find glam. Of course, if they get the shine, that's great. But they're there to help people who need some help.
Yeah, we're collaborating. Like that's the main point of being there. I love it. Yeah. And that's really how community is built. When you're not seen as competition, but a collaboration. You can be competitors, but it's so much nicer when you get a slice of the watermelon, as they say, rather than the whole grape. There's more to get. And then just like we talked to a lot of folks, is like these are people who are in the business, so it's way easier to do more business together when you're building relationships like that, which is super cool. And then here's your past champions, RJ Bates. So cool. By the way, the website is amazing. So kudos to whoever put this bad boy together. Well done. And then places where you guys can stay and a lot of the FAQs. So if you're considering going to Wholesale Live, do it now before tickets go up. Use my sub 250 discount code and get yourself 50% off the tickets. So very,
And
very
if,
cool.
and if you're a female,
Oh,
later today, you're going to get a specific code. And the only way to get that code is you got to go contact Ingrid. If you're not following her, make sure you follow her on IG. And that's the only way you can get that code. You can't get it from me. So if you're a female, you got to go get it from her.
right on. Very cool. Super awesome, Uncle Charles. Now, I would love, while we still have about 10 more minutes, tell me, you've been in this business a really long time. I'm sure you've been a collector of stories. Is there one story that you can think of that kind of either propelled you even further into this, or like I have a couple of stories where we call it the helper's high, like when you do it, you're like, wow, I really helped shape the future of that family by helping them. And it could be an easy deal or a hard deal. Just wondering if you have a story like that in that you're like, wow, this is why I'm doing this business.
Can I tell you two real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. You got 10 minutes.
So the one I just told you, of course, I never believed that would happen to me
Yeah, it
7
came
years
around.
later.
It came back around. Uh-huh.
The first story in this business, I'll tell you real quick. So I used to be, I couldn't be a lender because, I had a past, but I decided to manage. So guys, there's always a way for you to fit in. You just got to fit in. I couldn't originate, but I could manage. I knew more than all the originators. So I got really, really good. And this agent kept sending me this deal. They wanted to help this guy refinance an owner finance he had got. He couldn't do it because he had 3 broken leases, and he had exhausted all his money. He had horrible credit, um, like a low 500 credit score. And I was like, you can't get refinanced. This is before the crash. No, forgive me. It was after the crash. Forgive me. It was when the regs were really hard. I think it was like 2010 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept saying it to me. And then I've always been very intrigued. I like to ask people questions when I meet them. Like, I want to know what they're about. So finally I said, okay, one day, I don't know, the third time, I said, all right, put him on the phone. I'll talk to him. So I got on the phone with him. I said, look, man, I don't think I can help you out. I'm not an originator, but I saw problems. I need you to tell me what's going on. Why do you have this 3 broken leases, a repossessed car? Like, what's going on here? You're trying to refinance this loan. I get it. You got kids. I'll help you. And he started telling me the story. And the story is very sad. So he was a successful insurance guy. His wife got sick with some type of cancer. He sold everything, his house, everything to save her life. She got saved. She fell in love with her therapist, left him with her 3 kids that she had from somebody else, and his 2 kids, 5 kids. The first apartment, he left it to her, and she with her boyfriend, and they broke the lease. The second apartment, they moved into, and it had a bunch of infestation of rats. So, it came out on the news and everything. The third one had an infestation of also, he's living not very well anymore. And it was also in the news. And now he bought this house that were fixing to take away from him. Because back then you could do contract for deeds. He was in a contract for deed in Texas, and he needed to refinance. And I was like, wow. I said, all right, man, let's get to work. Because I knew the regs. I've always been about learning stuff. I had read the whole, I think it's called the 4155, the HUD regs. And I knew there was no requirement on credit scores as long as the banks put the requirements. So I put this whole packet together, and I explained everything. I put everything in there. I promise you, we got a call from the underwriters. And they were like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. So this. And I promise you, these ladies were crying, and they approved that loan. He got his refinance house. We got an underwriter to sign up on it, and that I still get shooken up for that, and that anything's possible, guys. You got to be willing to help. You have to be willing to help. The other story is this was a beautiful story.
Well, I will add, not that you're just willing to help, but look at the investment you made in your skills so that you knew you could help, right? And that's an investment in yourself, which is so awesome.
Yeah. And thank you. And guys, many times you're going to do a deal that you're not going to make money, but I promise you it comes around. I promise you, man, you help somebody today.
Amen.
5 years from now. We just closed a deal 2 weeks ago of a guy I hadn't talked to six years, and he just gave us the house SubTo. I wholesaled it for like $25,000, gave him 5. Guys, you just got to be willing to help. I help that guy. Let me get to this one. This is the most beautiful one. When you tell me, and I'm not a mean guy, I can be very stern with people. Don't tell me a story of why you can't do something, because I'm not going to feel sorry for you, because I've come from nothing. I've been down in the dirt. But I'm going to tell all of you guys a story. And when you get excuses, this is what people like me and Ingryd and people like Pace, this is what we're hearing. In 2016, I started to get on social media. I created what we call a hustle squad. And we were going to teach people for free, as long as they would come, and then they would share our stuff on social media. That was the plan. And this girl, I just saw it. She was a young African-American girl out of the DFW area. And she kept messaging me, please accept me. And I was like, I can't. You don't have a computer. You're a drug addict. You told me you're prostituting. You live in the worst place of Dallas, which I'm not going to say. She had 4 kids, all 4 different fathers, 3 kids of fathers who were in prison for the rest of their life. 1 was her pimp. How do you help somebody like that? I said to her, she kept calling. I finally said, look, I'll take you on. But if you're late one time, you're out. And another thing I say to you is this, that you got to get off drugs. I can't tell you how to make your money. I get it. You got to get off drugs. Like, you got to go cold turkey. But I know if you're going to be on drugs. You give one excuse, you're out. And you got to get your GED within 12 months. Okay. This girl today, I'm not going to say who she is. I'm not even going to, I don't want nobody to look her up. She's a very great agent in the DFW area. She lives in $1 million home, drives a beautiful car. All 4 kids are in private school. Okay. Every year she sends me about 2 to 3 deals just off the wall. And she was just a young girl. She was in her early 20s. As far as I wanted to go with that story, because then people will know who I'm talking about. And what I say to people is, if that girl with 4 kids, prostituting herself, on drugs, no education, can focus. And mind you, she was prostituting while she was learning from me, because she had to support herself. If that girl, someone like that, I thought my story was horrible. At least I had three meals and a cot and was able to go to school. If that girl could do that, don't, for God's sake, like, I'm not the one you called to be like, well, I gotta do this and I gotta do that, and I had to go to sleep early. I can't stay late, bro. Then I don't know what to tell you. Mm-hmm. That is one of the stories that I share sometimes, and I just like, I'm so proud, to have been part of that,
Amen. And look at you for giving. Sometimes we need that tough love and those higher expectations, because if you don't, where are you going to get that from? Like, where are you going to strive? So how awesome that you gave her that leg up. And that's that helper's high. It's a different kind of drug, where you want to help even more people because you see the impact you create. I was telling some of the folks today or yesterday, I said, when people say that their family is their why, I totally get that. It's a good starter why. But I also feel like it's a cop-out a little bit. Like, I think we could do better. And in my opinion, I feel like when your family is now gone, your kids are older, that's what's going to be your why then. And for me, it's the big I, impact.
Yeah.
Impact. How can you impact other people's lives, allow them their own financial freedom, help other people learn how to fish? And that's exactly what you've done, Uncle Charles. I can only imagine even though you may have started in a way that people could see as like a tough way to get going, I can only think about the ripple effects of leaders like you who are leaving this earth better than than how you had it, because you're helping people learn and be better for themselves. And that is a super beautiful story that translates that. I love it.
I appreciate you saying that. I'll just end with this part. I had a rough up start, and people always say that they're at the wrong place at the wrong time. I always say you're at the right place at the right time, especially if you're making wrong decisions. And that's what happened to me. I got caught up around the wrong people, the wrong place, the wrong time. But I accepted it. So I always say I was at the right place at the right time because I was making bad decisions. But what I tell people is, whether you're in a 6x9 for the rest of your life or you're out here, you cannot let your past decisions define your future. And so we can choose to live bad. We can choose, and I don't mean live bad like status wise. I'm talking about mentally. You can choose to live a bad person, or you can choose to live as a good person. And everybody's level of helping people is at different levels, right? Sometimes it's speaking, sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's physical. What I say is I owe life. And I just don't want to check out, man. My why is I don't want to check out knowing that I could have done and I didn't do. And that's you know, that's why I push. And I love, I mean, yeah, do I make money? Yes. Do I like money? Yes. Do I flaunt money? No, that's never been my thing. If you look at my social media, I'm not that guy. But my thing is, I just want to make impact, like you said. I
Mhm.
want to. When I check out, I want to know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
I want that room full and we're partying.
Well, I just want. I don't want people to say like, "Man, he was a fuck up." Nah,
Mhm.
I was a fuck up. But
Mhm.
guess what? I want to leave with impact. That's my thing.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, Uncle Charles, it's been such an honor to have you here. I'm super excited about October. I'm really I'm looking forward to being in the crowd, helping people close their deals, figuring out how we can make a better impact out there by getting folks excited about this business, about letting them know the level of potential that exists here. And I can't wait to go shake your hand in person and hang out. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for listening to us. I hope I see you at Wholesaling Live. Ingrid, I'll send you that special code. Thank
Yeah.
you again so much.
Thank you. And thank you guys. Every week, Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. Arizona time, we're here with the Explain It podcast. We have amazing guests like Uncle Charles, and we will catch you guys next week. Bye now.
Bye bye.